A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+ English because it's so much fun. English education for you and everyone, so come along. Learn some grammar, learn a phrase, learn something new every day. Learn the A+ way. Hey, it's time to start the show. Are you ready? Good, 'cause here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+ English.
Hi everyone, welcome back to A+ English. I'm Pat.
And I'm Laura.
And we're on part 2 of our Culture Shock article, Simon and Lucia Go to a British Wedding. And one of the things they talked about yesterday was gifts, which leads to our warm-up question, what should you pay attention to when you choose a gift for someone else?
First, think about what your friend really likes, right? Like their favorite color or hobby. Basically, pick something they love. Also, try to make it a surprise so they'll be really happy. And don't forget a nice card to say why you think they're awesome. I would handwrite my cards. Yeah.
I think you definitely have to pay attention to whether they already have this thing.
Oh, true.
Yeah, so that's when you kind of quietly ask one of their other friends or a relative, like, hey, is this okay? Is this going to work?
Yeah.
I like to try and choose gifts that is something that reminds, is something that you two both like as well. If it, something that has a little to do with why you're friends, like what you have in common. If you both like reading, then it's, books. If you both like something else, maybe get something that, because it shows that you're thinking about your friendship as well. But let's start reading through day 2 now and find out what happens when Simon and Lucia get to the wedding.
Simon and Lucia go to a British wedding. Warm-up question. What should you pay attention to when you choose a gift for someone else?
The bride looks beautiful. Will she change into another dress?
In the UK, brides only wear one dress, and it's almost always white.
Cool.
We have a traditional rhyme about the bride's clothes. Something old, something new. Something borrowed, something blue. A sixpence in your shoe.
What's its meaning?
The bride should wear something old to not forget their past. They wear something new to give hope for the future. Simon and Lucia are at the wedding. Lucia is looking at Simon's friend's wife, and she says, the bride looks beautiful. Will she change into another dress? So I think there are 3 in Taiwan, is that right? 3 dresses?
Yes, the first one is a white dress with a veil, 头纱.
Gotcha.
That's when, when she enters the hotel, it shows she's the main person and her dad hands her to the groom. There's kind of like a red carpet where she kind of walks for everybody to see her enter. And the second dress is usually red or traditional, and she wears it when toasting 敬酒.
Okay.
Yeah, and the third dress is for giving guests sweets.
Okay.
Yeah, 喜糖送客, and it's the one she likes for taking pictures with friends and family. Yeah, so that's how usually happens. But, if you only want to wear 2 or 1, that's still okay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the white one is a fairly new addition. I would guess something that maybe wasn't traditional in Taiwan
no,
because white's more of almost like a funeral color. And that's kind of what Simon talks about next. He says in the UK, brides only wear one dress and it's almost always white. Lucia says, cool. Now, I will say that often the dress includes bits that the bride will take off after the ceremony to make it a bit more comfortable, like the longer train out of the back or the veil at the front. Those bits you can kind of take off before the sort of party side of the wedding. But the bride will still wear this dress. Now, it's not almost always white.
Really?
One of my good friends had almost like a peach, sort of orange one.
Nice.
It just suited her personality. She always dyed her hair bright colors.
Wow.
So it was just right for her. And so I think people are trying to experiment with a few different colors.
Nice.
White is kind of a traditional one. It does go with like purity and it goes with things like that. And there was one dress that I think Queen Victoria or something wore a white one like 100, 200 years ago. And ever since then, like that's been the fashion and from the UK it spreads
now
worldwide.
I know.
I think. I'd have to go back and check that. But yeah, white dresses are the traditional ones, certainly in the UK. Simon then talks a bit more about things that are worn. And he says, we have a traditional rhyme about the bride's clothes. And then he explains the rhyme. And you'll see this in little pictures. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, a sixpence in your shoe. So we'll kind of explain this. Simon will explain it to Lucia, but it's one tradition that a lot of people keep in British weddings. What are some other traditional Taiwanese wedding things? What do people
I don't know if you know this.
do?
When the bride is leaving her house in the car, she tosses fans. 丢掉扇子.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
This shows she's ready to start a new life with her husband. And the tossing fan, it's to let go of bad temper. 丢掉坏脾气. Interesting, right? So she has to be humble and respectful.
Okay. I heard there's another one where like the groom and his male friends who are playing a part in the wedding will like go, but the bride's friends won't let them in until they make them do silly kind of games and challenges.
Yes, they do that.
That always sounds a lot of fun. That's the kind of tradition I like. In the UK, we have things like the speeches. And one that is the favorite in the UK, but doesn't seem to happen here, is the best man's speech. Because in the UK, you generally have three. You have the father of the bride gives a touching speech. Then the groom gives a very simple speech where he says thank you. And then the best man gives the funny speech where he makes a lot of rude jokes and tells some naughty stories. The best man's speech is the one you really want to listen to. It's a lot of pressure on the best man, though. But let's go back to this tradition. Lucia asks, what's its meaning, this kind of tradition? And we'll see Simon explaining this rhyme with thought bubbles attached, and there'll be pictures, there'll be an example of the items. Before we look though, in fact I think we should probably look into it straight away. The bride should wear something old to not forget their past. So that's something old. They wear something new to give hope for the future. So that's something old, something new. So the kind of things they might wear, something old, they often get something from like one of their relatives, like
a
from
grandmother's necklace.
Yeah, or something from their mom that she wore at her
dress.
wedding, and a bit of jewelry, something like that. Something new is usually it's the wedding dress, because that is like always going to be new. But there could be a few other things like that as well. But the wedding dress is often the new thing. Or shoes sometimes. So those are a few things that you might often use. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we're going to look at the borrowed and blue parts. Borrowing something from a married friend is lucky. Something blue keeps evil away. The sixpence can bring money to the couple.
British weddings are interesting.
You think so? Well, here goes. Lucia, will you marry me?
Yes!
Welcome back. So we've got something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. And Simon explains borrowing something from a married friend is lucky. Something blue keeps evil away.
That's so cool. I've never heard of the blue bit.
Yeah, the blue bit often, sometimes it's flowers, sometimes it's a piece of jewelry, something like that. As long as they've got something blue on them somewhere. That's often used. It could even be a little bit of makeup somewhere.
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
Or the little teddy bear necklace you've got on right now.
Right. Oh, okay.
But yeah, you borrow something from a married friend to kind of as if if you think
sort of get that.
they've had a happy marriage, and it could also be a relative. With the idea being you give it back to them, whereas there's something old you might keep afterwards. There's something borrowed that you return it later. You're kind of getting their good luck, something like that. So, yeah, there's some cool ideas. And then we've got the sixpence. A sixpence in your shoe, Simon says. The sixpence can bring money to the couple. Because a sixpence is an old coin. We don't use those anymore. But in the old money, sixpence was a particular coin worth 6 pennies.
Okay.
Six old pennies. I have no idea what that is in current money. So we've then got Simon and Lucia. They continue to enjoy the wedding. There'll be speeches, there'll be dancing, there'll be usually a band, maybe a DJ, whatever it is, for people to dance and have fun to, and a lot of wine and champagne and things like that as well.
That's the same in Taiwan as well, actually.
Yeah. I suspect it's more in the UK from experience. Okay, so the next scenario, it's the day after the wedding. Simon and Lucia are at Simon's home, and Lucia is kind of thinking back on all she just saw and experienced and says, British weddings are interesting. And Simon says, you think so? Well, here goes. Yeah, what's he, just before we reveal what he's about to do, I'm just trying to think of other kind of fun wedding stuff and what makes British weddings special to me. I've mentioned the speeches.
Right.
They're definitely a big part of it.
Have you ever been somebody's best man?
No, no, because I gave a reading at my brother's wedding because he knew that I couldn't go on we call it stag, is it bucks in Australia? What the guys do by themselves at a party. I can't remember if it's called a stag or a bucks in Australia, but they go on a big party night.
Wow.
And so I couldn't make that, being in Taiwan.
It's like the bachelor's party idea.
Bachelor party, that's the equivalent. Okay, so I couldn't make that, so I wasn't able to talk about that. And his best man was just a really close friend of his, so I got no problem with that. But he said, we'd love you to do a reading.
Okay.
So I did a reading related to weddings. But that's something that happens at the wedding ceremony.
Okay.
Rather than at the speeches or at the party afterwards.
Right.
We call that, in the UK, we call that the reception.
Yes.
Which is that's the drinking, dancing, party, fun and eating part. Whereas the wedding ceremony is usually in the church. It's a bit more solemn and quiet and stuff. Other stuff about the cakes, the wedding cakes. People don't get boxes of wedding cookies like in Taiwan, but they'll get a piece of the wedding cake, which they could eat there or take home or stuff like that.
That's the same in Australia, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of other things as well that just kind of make British weddings. It's just a lot of fun seeing people. So then we get to the final act.
Oh my gosh!
Simon takes out a ring, goes down on one knee and proposes to Lucia. Lucia, will you marry me? And she says, yes!
Oh my gosh!
Okay, what an ending! Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, disclosure, we decided we ended this story like this. This is the last.
This is the last one. No.
The final.
No more Lucia and Simon.
Yeah. This is the final article that will involve these two characters. They started way back a few years ago with Simon being in Taiwan as a new person and experiencing culture shock. Lucy is now getting a bit of culture shock going to the UK and experiencing stuff. But they've been together so long, it's time for them to get married.
Finally.
And go off into the sunset. Now, Simon proposed there like by himself in there just when they were alone in a quiet moment, which that's the kind of one I'd want to do.
Same.
You don't like the idea of a public?
No, that's
like
a lot
in front
of pressure.
of people and in a restaurant and bands turning up and all this kind of stuff. You wouldn't go for that?
No, I don't. That's not my thing.
Okay.
I feel like just at home, like two people, that's like, if it's like sincere, that's like the most important thing.
Yeah, I'll when we turn the mic off, I'll tell you about how my brother proposed because it's a very, very silly story, but probably not one I should tell and get recorded.
Well, for now, we could just chill a bit and listen to my solo teaching then.
Yep, you take up your solo teaching and I'll be back in a few minutes for our review time.
OK， 所以刚刚我们提到了非常多的单字，大家有认真听吗？没有的话没关系，我们来复习一下哦。第一个要听到的就是 beautiful 这个形容词，就是漂亮的、美丽的。For example, the rainbow after the rain is so beautiful with its many colors. 雨后的彩虹有许多颜色，哇，真的很美哦。Or Sandra looks beautiful in that dress. I can't take my eyes off of her. Sandra 穿那件裙子真漂亮，看得我目不转睛。再来，我们今天都提到了有一些非常传统的英式的婚礼。传统的英文就是 traditional， 这是一个形容词。For example, during Chinese New Year, it's traditional to give red envelopes for good luck. 在这个农历新年啊，就是送红包是一个传统，为了带来好运。Or king cake is a traditional dessert in France. People eat it to celebrate New Year's Day. 国王派是法国的传统甜点，人们吃它来庆祝元旦。那我们刚刚还学到了 married 这个形容词，就是已婚的，而 marry 这个动词就是和谁谁谁结婚。For example, 我们来看一下单字例句哦。The married actor keeps his family life private. He doesn't talk about his wife or kids. 那位已婚的男演员非常保护他的家庭隐私，他不谈论他的太太和小孩。最后是 evil 这个名词，就是邪恶或者它有灾祸的意思啊。通常我们会用 good and evil， 就是善与恶。For example, Karen loves the story about a fight between good and evil. Karen 喜欢那个关于善恶斗争的故事。然后呢，刚刚其实我们有看到一些婚礼上一些介绍一些传统婚礼，可是婚礼通常有哪些人物呢？就像我刚刚有提到，我去过 Elsie 老师的婚礼，还有 Adam 老师的。好，那我当然呢，新郎就是 Adam 哦，他新郎的英文要怎么讲？我们来介绍一下，就是 groom。那美丽的新娘子就是 bride。那其实刚刚我们有提到Best man， 你们知道他是什么吗？是谁吗？就是伴郎。而伴娘我们要用 maid of honor。那花童也有分男生跟女生，那传统来讲就是男花童可能手上是要拿那个戒指吧，所以它就叫做 ring bearer。而女花童好可爱哦，就是 flower girl。 Well, that's it for my solo teaching. Let's now go to review time.
Review time.
So we have a couple of days of word power words we can use for this activity. We are going to guess the word from the definition. I will give Laura a definition of one of these words, and let's see if she can figure out which one I'm talking about. Okay, now this definition, it's a kind of a force. You can't see it, but you can feel it, and it's definitely bad, and it could hurt
Evil.
people. Indeed. Okay, do you want to go for one?
Okay. This is something maybe you would wear, and you're a guy, to a wedding.
That would be a suit. Okay, this word means two people, specifically two people in a romantic relationship.
Oh, couple.
Indeed.
Okay, what's the opposite word of ugly?
Beautiful. Okay, one more then. This describes something that has been done for a long time, and so people kind of always do it in certain situations, and it's almost feels like good luck or the right thing to do.
Traditional?
Indeed.
Yay!
Okay, there we go. We are out of time for today. Thanks very much for listening to A+. We hope you've enjoyed all these adventures with Simon and Lucia. Next time, there'll be something a little new. But we'll see you again in the future for that. Bye for now.
Bye.
Magic Box.
裁缝师，这边的剪裁错了啊！哎呀，拿回去重做各位真的是不好意思，一见面呢就让你们看到库伊拉我在骂人啊！ 没有办法，我真的是非常讲求完美的好吗？我设计的衣服啊，如果哪里不对，就要修改到完美为止。所以你就知道啊，要做一件毛大衣可是很花时间呢。Making a fur coat takes a lot of time 啊，这些蠢蛋，什么时候才能达到我的标准呢？OK， 做一件毛大衣要花很多的时间。我大可以说 It takes a lot of time to make a fur coat。不过呢，你们有没有发现我刚刚用的呢，其实是另外一种句子哦。一般来说啊，我们会习惯以名词或者是代名词啊来当做句中的主词嘛。不过呢，今天要讲的是不太一样的，动词呢也能成为句中的主词哦。那方法非常的简单，动词呢必须放在句首，并加上 ing， 就会形成了动名词就可以了。例如啊，一开始举例的 Making a fur coat takes a lot of time， 这里呢就是用 make 加上 ing。Making 这个动名词当做主词的用法哦，而我们的重点啊就是 making a fur coat 这个动作哦，或是这件事情。因此啊，后面的动词 take 必须要是单数型 takes， 代表说啊，毛大衣这件事情呢，它花了很多的时间来做哦。动词啊为单数型，这点非常的重要，同学们啊可要特别注意了。那大家都知道，身为史上最恶女，库伊拉舞啊，为了达到目的，我什么都做得出来哦。It is exciting to steal those dogs away。把那些狗狗偷走，真的是太刺激了。好啦，想想看，要怎么改成动名词当做主词的用法呢？OK， 太好了，果然没有让我们失望哦。没有错，把 steal 拉到最前面，加上 ing，stealing， 后面的 be 动词为单数型 is， 正确答案呢就会是 stealing those dogs away is exciting。但天哪，我真的是太变态了吗 ？But you know what？I don't care， 小朋友们，你们可不要学啊！你们可承担不起的。Doing bad things makes me feel good。为非作歹呢，真的是让我太开心了。好啦，谁叫我是最恶、最呛辣的女王库伊拉呢？